I walk through the shadow of death left to fear. This is a journey through the halls of hell.
Yes people, what is good? I am BA, back once again with another reaction in the Game of Thrones series. This is episode 1 of season 3 and it is called Valar Dohaeris. Last episode kinda soft rebooted us for this season I feel like. Stannis' storyline came and fell and he is now retreated after failing to take King's Landing. Daenerys has escaped from the House of the Undying and is now free from the city of Qarth, and Jon is the only person that's still mid-storyline I feel, as he is still with the wildlings after having killed the half-hand. So yeah, without further ado, I'm looking forward to getting back into it. This is episode 1, season 3, Valar Dohaeris. Let's check it out and see what it's saying to it. Oh, and I forgot, we ended with Sam hiding behind the rock from the White Walkers. Now everyone, you'll see straight away what I'm talking about. Pay close attention to this guy's teeth from this moment onwards. He might have been lost in the snow, but he found the best damn dentist that side of the wall. At least the White Walkers have a bit of style. They could have let that head roll, but they were like, no, you know what, let him cop his own head, it'll look so cool. They'll make a statue out of that in 1,000 years. Oh shit! Thank God Ghost saved Sam there. I had no idea how he got saved from that. Now this being a single white, it's obviously not as deadly as a White Walker, but it certainly instantaneously introduces a bit of a plot hole, because at the end of last season he was straight up surrounded by these people and now there's only one left. How did that happen?
That was your job. Your only job.
That's what you get for chasing Poon the entirety of last season, Sam.
Before winter's done, everyone you've ever known will be dead.
It sounds so over the top, but he is actually the only guy talking sense right now. Much respect to him for understanding how perilous a threat that is and realising this could be the end of all things. A lot of people would just be like, oh, it's an army of the dead, we kill every army, it's fine. Because think about it, most warriors wouldn't actually factor that in, and they would be put to the test, and they would just charge towards death. Like if King Leonidas and the brave 300 were at the wall, he would have went, huh, the undead. We'll put that name to the test. And then they would have ran out and been slaughtered and he'd have been like, oh, they kept their word completely. They were undead, they killed us all. We should not have put their name to the test. The wildling camp looks even more vast when you get to it on a ground level. I ask this with every shot like this, but I wonder how much of that shot was legitimate tents and how much was background duplication or CGI additions. Now, this is actually incredible. Giants are intrinsically something nowadays that special effects departments would expect to be handed off to them. It's not of human being proportions, thus many people would shortcut that act digitally. This character is a real-sized man who has been enlarged on screen digitally, which makes a huge difference to me because it passes my eye test. It doesn't trick my eye. I'm not looking at CGI. It's actual captured photography that's been enlarged, and that makes a big difference, and I love that they did that for the special effects of the giant in this show.
I'll be free to kill you.
Ygritte is a badass, but I have never once believed her when she's told Jon Snow she's gonna kill him. I like the little bait and switch they do here, setting up Tormund as the fake King Beyond the Wall. He would have been a great King Beyond the Wall, by the way. But I'm not mad they chose the actor who played Caesar in Rome.
My father told me big men fall just as quick as little ones, if you put a sword through their hearts.
It's not true. Physics-wise, the smaller person would still fall first. There would be a couple of foot difference or so. It wouldn't be really that noticeable, but you know, if you want to get scientific in this medieval fantasy world, John, I'll pull you up every time.
We don't kneel for anyone beyond the wall.
I love that rule. I love some of the rules the wildlings have about freedom and their perception of leadership, etc.
He was my brother once. Back when he had a whole hand.
I forget that Mance Rayder used to be in the Night's Watch.
I want to be free.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, that was the least convincing I want to be free of all time. If you had been cast at the end of Braveheart and they were cutting out your organs and you went, I want to be free, they would have purposely extended the torture for a further 8 hours.
I saw Craster take his own baby boy and leave it in the woods. I saw what took it.
Here's a question. Craster is right beside the wall and he has to leave a baby as tribute to keep the White Walkers away from him. Surely that means that all the wildlings south of Craster's Keep have to do similarly, no?
We'll need to find you a new cloak.
Man certainly isn't a gullible guy. I think he knows there's every chance Jon is here to kill him, but still he thinks, if this is going to help us in our fight against the real enemy in any way, it's worth the risk. I feel like they didn't go the full way either way with this. Like, there is no reason for Tyrion to be lamenting his reflection in a mirror with a small axe scar like that, but if they'd have stuck with the books where it really did destroy his face, that would make sense. I feel like they should have either given him the full prosthetic that he would have had in the books, and yes, he wouldn't have looked like Tyrion, but you know, that's his story arc. But the fact that they've had a soft axe wound choice and then still have him like, oh god, just makes him look like a bit of a narcissist.
I wanted to see your face. They said you'd lost your nose, but it's not as gruesome as all that.
In the books, he did lose his nose though. I want to see a noseless Tyrion. Give me Return of the Living Tyrion.
Of course, it wasn't a rebel who tried to kill me.
No? Curious.
Considering she lies all the fucking time, she's not that good at it, is she?
How do you know that?
Because I have hundreds of spies in my employ. Father told me. What do you want from him?
It's quite interesting she at first tried to hold the guise of her spy network finding that out, but then quickly conceded to the fact she was told the information.
She lost an eye, if I remember correctly.
If I remember correctly, she never stole a necklace again.
Stealing a necklace is kind of fucked up, but it's a 9-year-old. You're gonna blind her for it. Wow.
But you're not half as clever as you think you are.
Still makes me more clever than you.
Both are true points. People shit on Tyrion by season 8 because he's so different to this, but the way I see it, he put all his eggs into the Daenerys basket and is just a destroyed man who misplaced his faith in season 8. Just completely disenfranchised is how I would describe Tyrion in season 8, and it's understandable due to how deeply he backed Daenerys. Now, in this particular fight, I back Bronn to kill both those guards. First of all, fuck the Kingsguard, but second of all, unless you're the Hound, or Brienne, or Jaime Lannister, or, you know, one of the few true great fighters in this world, Bronn will kill you easily.
Nights are worth double.
Don't even know how much I'm paying you now.
Which means you can afford it.
Yeah, exactly. If money's so meaningless to you, you don't even know what you are paying those you employ. You can afford to pay them a little bit more. Plus, Bronn is worth it. Sir Davos, a typical person from Newcastle, spent the time between seasons 2 and 3 on a holiday to Tenerife. He's actually so lucky to have been spotted as well. Yes, he's on an island, which helps, but the chances of a random boat spotting you when you're lost at sea are so slim. I guess he would have been washed up not far from King's Landing.
On a night, serving which king?
You'd just have to answer honestly.
Stannis Baratheon.
So lucky. That is such good fortune. Imagine how horrible that scene would have been if it was Lannister guards on that boat.
He may have swum ashore as you did.
The wildfire took to my sword.
Yeah, he watched his son die with his own eyes during that battle. Thinking about it, much credit to him for still fighting after that. If he did, I'm assuming he spent most of the fight in the water.
You were a good father.
If I was a good father, he'd still be here.
It's not as easy as that. Your kid chose to join the army. How are you going to protect someone in an army?
I promised you 30 ships and you promised me riches and glory. I delivered the ships.
Pirate guy makes a point. He kept his word. You guys did not deliver on the riches and gold. And he didn't even mention the women. You mentioned all the women.
All those who spoke against her, she called servants of darkness. They say she sang to them as they burned.
Sounds like something the Red Lady would do.
You've only just come back to life. Stay alive a little longer, my friend.
This guy seems like a genuine friend of Davos, to be honest. He actually sounds like he wants to keep him alive right now.
200 Northmen slaughtered like sheep.
Was that the price to pay for Arya escaping and Jaqen killing those guards? Lots of people have died so far so that Arya can still be free.
The Molester.
Sir Jeremy. My father's bannerman.
Can't even imagine how it would feel to walk into a place where everyone had been tortured and start to spot people you once knew.
This needs to be cleaned and closed.
Oh my god, I cannot believe this is where Qyburn started. Robb should have let this guy die.
The badge looks good on you. Almost as good as it looked on me.
It does, gives him a bit of extra prestige.
You brought a whore into my bed.
It wasn't your bed at the time.
If that's truly an issue, why later on is she in his bed? Is it just showing that he's that big of a hypocrite?
Jugglers and singers require applause. You are a Lannister.
What the fuck sort of explanation is that? That is ridiculous. Tyrion saved King's Landing from defeat, and Tywin has already got more acclaim for showing up at the last minute than Tyrion got for mounting the entire defence.
You want Casterly Rock.
It is mine, by right.
Was that too big of a request? I know Casterly Rock is their ancestral home, but someone has to hold it, I guess.
You who killed your mother to come into the world, you are an ill-made, spiteful little creature.
Yeah, this shit right here is completely irredeemable. I don't care what else Tywin does in the entirety of this show, fuck him forever for this.
Neither gods nor men will ever compel me to let you turn Casterly Rock into your whorehouse.
There is elements of points within what Tywin just said, alright, but he could have worded it completely differently. But I think the main crux of what he's trying to say, in the most horrible way ever, is that Tyrion has a bit of growing up to do before he's gifted the ancestral family home. And if he is still, you know, having a bit too much of a drink or a bit too much of a whore, it's a legitimate point, but it was just completely destroyed by the way in which he chose to word it.
I met some people in Don who weren't so beautiful and warm.
Don't ruin the game.
Shay genuinely does have an interesting backstory. I wonder what went on in Dorne with her and who she met that was not friendly. Most people in Dorne seem cool. There's obviously pieces of shit everywhere in the world and we just never saw them, but all the Dorne characters we see in this show, while incredibly fiery and vengeful, aren't exactly pieces of shit. I guess you could call that one woman a piece of shit for killing a princess, but other than her, everyone seemed cool.
Well, the property of the crown. Stealing you would be treason if you were to tell just one.
I won't tell anyone.
He's already starting to go into his Sean Connery form at the start of this season with his voice. If you genuinely compare this, pause this right now, and go back to the scene at the tourney in season 1 where he tells Sansa the story of the Hound in the Mountain. And he's like, have you heard the story of the Hound in the Mountain? And now he's like, Sansa, would you like to see your mother again? Such a jarring accent choice change.
I grew up in the shadow of her father's castle. The day she was born, they rang the bells from sunrise till sunset.
That's cool. Sounds like something Ned would do.
Watch out for her with him.
Maybe this is why Ros really ended up getting killed, because she is so on the pulse of Littlefinger's actions. Maybe that's just too dangerous for him to have around. Oh, they're getting a bit bigger now. They're like dogs with wings. And flamethrowers. Which, as amazing as dogs are, that would definitely improve them still.
Another lovely day in the high seas.
Don't mock them.
Poor Dothraki, never been on a boat in their life. This has got to be rough.
You'll have a true Khalasar when you prove yourself strong. And not before.
You don't want to give Daenerys the advice of proving herself strong. She could interpret that in some really bad ways.
I had hoped to speak to you alone, Your Grace.
We are alone.
At least Stannis has got a beautiful view to lick his wounds at.
I do not judge people for the gods they worship. If I did, I'd have thrown you in the sea.
Yeah, looking at the religions in this show, obviously the Seven and that whole storyline is based on modern Christianity, but the Red Woman in that, is she like a representation of Wiccan or pagan gods that came before or something like that? Because it still has the extremeness of, you know, the worst parts of modern religions where they have murdered non-believers in the past.
Death by fire is the purest death.
No, it is fucking not. If that was true, why at the end of the Battle of Winterfell did you choose to take your necklace off instead of walking to a fucking bonfire? I'll tell you why, because the shit hurts. Ain't nothing pure about getting barbecued.
What is she doing? Who gave her permission?
And Marjorie's being a bit manipulative here. She knows exactly what she's doing, pandering to the poorer people in the city. That being said, even if it is for fake intentions, she's still actively getting out of her carriage and helping the poor people in Flea Bottom. Even if she's doing that to be seen doing it, it's still better than not doing it.
Whenever you look at this night, I want you to remember your father.
Look, she even came with toys to hand out. She's like Santa Claus with a banging pair of tits.
Come to me for whatever you need to feed them, clothe them, or house them.
I take it that was an orphanage she just visited, and by the sounds of it, it seems like lots of the kids had just recently lost their dads in the defence of King's Landing. I suppose that would be the same after every big city defence. There would be lots of orphans in the morning on both sides of any war, really.
It's a lovely gown, my lady.
Yes, it suits you perfectly. I imagine you might be rather cold.
Cersei is so jealous of the younger, more beautiful Marjorie. Another reason why I love her.
You might find a bit of armour quite useful once you become queen, perhaps before.
I don't think that armour's really going to protect you if someone wants to kill you, Cersei. It's definitely just there for show. Let Marjorie be armourless.
And approach them with an open heart.
An open heart is what you'll get in Flea Bottom if you're not careful, my dear.
I know she's being so fake, but I can't help but love her. She plays this game better than all these evil fucks, and she's not evil.
Facts become less and less important to her as she grows older.
That is the worst word you could have used in that sentence, Joffrey.
We've had a blessed harvest, and of course it's our duty to assist the capital in time of need.
Here's a question. If the Tyrells hadn't started supplying those things to King's Landing, would King's Landing have starved? Would they have had to go on the offensive to capture farms and shit just to survive? Or do they have enough supplies and Tyrell was just giving them an abundance of it?
The Unsullied have stood here for a day and a night with no food or water.
Now, this guy is a piece of shit and a slaver, but you cannot fault him for training a very good military unit. He's a good trainer. Brutal, but it worked.
My master says the Unsullied are not men. Death means nothing to them.
Yeah, these guys have just been broken long ago. Death does mean nothing to them. And love creates fear because of loved ones, so removing their genitals while brutal is taking away another potential element of fear, which is shown later on still doesn't work, but I get his absolutely ruthless theory.
My master points out that men don't need nipples.
Unnecessarily brutal way to demonstrate your point, but you know, point taken.
Find a newborn and kill it before its mother's eyes.
Oh my god, I forgot that. That is fucking horrible. Grey Worm, you killed a baby in front of its mother. Fucking hell, bro.
My master would like you to know that the silver is paid to the baby's owner, not the mother.
Unnecessary extra detail there. I would say this is the army in the show which most closely resembles Spartans or Roman battle formations, and I love that they have that element in the show. I would buy all 8,000. Who the fuck was the Jedi following them there?
You won't order them to murder babies.
Oh! One of every 2 episodes I know this guy's name, and whenever he shows up on screen I forget it, but then I remember it to mention him. It's the former leader of the Kingsguard, legend. I know this guy. His name is falling out of my fucking head. What a creepy little assassination insect that looks. I take it that was to show that the warlocks are still after her, but this is literally the last time they try anything, isn't it? I don't remember the warlocks ever coming back after this moment.
Like Reed?
The sheer respect in Jorah Mormont's face when he saw him there. You know he's a badass.
I am Barristan Selmy, King's guard to your father.
Sir Barristan Selby, that's the name. That is such a dope swordsman just to show up and swear his allegiance to you, wow. Okay, and that was episode 1 of season 3 of Game of Thrones, Valar Dohaeris, and I will be back in just a minute with my thoughts on that. So, Valar Dohaeris, what did I think of that? Really just setting the pieces up for this season, this episode. We get a little bit of Stannis showing he's licking his wounds and regrouping at Dragonstone, and Sir Davos is still alive, which is great to see. We finally meet Mance Rayder, the king beyond the wall, and shows straight away, really, that Jon has got the wrong impression of these people. Everything he seems to mention is just about freedom and liberty and not having to bow to monarchs, and a lot of dope shit the rest of Westeros could really learn from, but of course these are seen as savage traditions to the rest of this world. Lady Marjorie, the MVP of King's Landing, just showing she knows how to absolutely play the game, keeping the poor people on her side, being able to hold dinner conversation with the Lannister family, and even when Cersei is clearly threatened and jealous, she still manages to put on that fucking fake smile and remind her she's supplying grain, wheat and apples. She's just the best, isn't she? She's amazing. And yeah, then the Daenerys storyline moved on. I didn't even realise we got a little bit extra Warlock stuff this episode, but yeah, they show up again at the end of the episode with that girl putting the assassin insect down, but I do believe that is the last ever time we see the Warlocks, so I don't understand really why they popped back up in this episode, just to remind us they're butthurt she escaped or something, and then that's them accepted it now because Sir Barristan Selby showed up? I don't know. But it was just a lot of foreshadowing this episode, I feel, as to how powerful Daenerys will get. We were once again reminded of the dragons, now dog-sized, able to catch and cook their own fish, flying around the boat freely. And then we got to see the Unsullied, and she's potentially going to get 8,000 of these absolutely fearless killers. And then Sir Barristan Selby showed up. I mean, you're starting to look really formidable already, and pity help anybody going against you already at this point. And Littlefinger starting to get into the ear of Sansa and conduct his little plan. He's such a slimy fucking character, and I think, all joking aside, it was probably a good choice for the accent change, because the accent change just makes him seem even more sneaky and slimy in my opinion. But yeah, I loved this opening episode, and I can't wait to get into episode 2 next week. If you've liked this video, click like, subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this, ring the bell to be notified as to when they drop. If there's anything you want to talk about, comment down below, and share this around to anyone you think might appreciate it or want to watch these reactions along with us. My Patreon link is down in the description. If you become a patron, you get access to my blog, you get access to these reactions I put on YouTube a month and a half in advance, and you also get access to full-length versions of everything I react to. So consider becoming a patron, it helps me and my channel out so much, and until next time, I have been BA, peace.